No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mindell. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. The band is all together on this Tuesday night. Drew Mindell, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you to discuss the Winnipeg Jets. Don't call it a winning streak just yet. 2 games does not constitute a winning streak, but for the first time this year, the Jets have won 2 games in a row, backing up Saturday's victory with a victory tonight, 4-2 over the St. Louis Blues on home ice. Gentlemen, good to see you both on this Tuesday evening, a later Tuesday start to the show than we're typically used to, as Frozen Frenzy is, I think, what they're calling it in on ESPN, taking place with all the games starting at 15 different minutes staggered time. Nonetheless, 7:45 puck drops are beautiful in the eyes of the Winnipeg Jets, getting a much-needed divisional victory.
Yeah, but where were all the games in Canada? That's what I want to know, because I don't think that was. I don't think TSN and Sportsnet were included, so I'm not sure why that was the case. Because I think a lot of people in Canada would like to experience that, right? So, yeah, like you said, it's only ESPN and it's only the US. So unfortunately, the Canadian networks didn't participate. Maybe they'll do it again. We'll see. But you're actually, onto something, Drew, with this maybe not being necessarily a winning streak. I mean, there was a lot of shades of that Florida Panthers game where the Jets were up 5-2, right? Mm-hmm. And then they let the Panthers come back and get within 1 goal here. And obviously that happened against the Blues, and then Morgan Barron obviously ended it with the empty netter. But I mean, this Blues team is not very good. We talked about it on Saturday morning show. This is a top heavy team. The Kyrou, Thomas, Brandon Saad line is a great line. I like Braden Shen, but I mean, you're missing some star power there. The defense is still all right. I thought Jordan Bennington had a pretty good game. The Blues hung around and kept it interesting, but yeah, this was a pretty commanding win from the Jets. And, they took those three penalties in a row and they allowed St. Louis to get back in the game. Yep. But yeah, this was overall a pretty impressive effort. There was definitely hiccups, Dave, but I think overall the Jets are going to be pretty happy with getting the 2 points tonight.
Yeah, Dave, I want your thoughts on the game as well. I would say it wasn't pretty. There were definitely warts to the Winnipeg Jets game. There were definitely opportunities and instances throughout the course of the 60 minutes where they were a little loose and a little casual, and particularly in transition, the Blues had some opportunities, and of course Connor Hellebuyck had to be the best Jets player on the ice, and he was, as we so often see from the Winnipeg Jets goaltender. So you're happy with the victory, but there are definitely things that still need to be worked on over the course of as a result of tonight's game, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think St. Louis is a particularly good hockey team. I think they had some, as he said, they've got some top-heavy talent. They had some flashes. I mean, Jordan Kyrou with back-to-back breakaways in the second period come to mind specifically. So, I mean, there's definitely some look, but having said that, St. Louis came into that game with a better record than the Jets and with more points than the Jets. So, I mean, it's a game that you needed to win. It's the Jets are only home for 1, of course, before now they're going back on the road. They'll head out to Detroit and then to Montreal, sorry. So you got a couple of games on the road before they're back here for the Blake Wheeler game. I think that's next month.
No, that's in New York, isn't it?
No, it's in Winnipeg.
Is it? Oh, I missed that entirely. I thought that was it because it's the 6:30 start time.
It's either in Winnipeg or New York, one of the two.
Thanks, Nezzy. It's the 6:30 start time for the game on Monday that threw me off. I just immediately saw 6:30 and thought that it must be in New York, but I guess it's 6:30 Central Time. It's here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, nicely done, Drew. I'm like,
Sorry.
oh, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's only a 2-game road trip for the Jets. Regardless, the Jets are feeling good about themselves.
How about that?
Yeah, every once in a while. But the fact is
what sick person on the NHL.com website decided to just make it a blue border.
Oh, isn't that the worst?
I don't understand.
Drew already ranted about
that. Was a good idea. I don't understand it.
Hey, hold on. Just you don't have to talk about some specific element of the NHL website and be like, I don't understand it. The entire NHL website is something that you could say, I don't understand it. It sucks. It used to be functional. It's crazy.
It's something that the NHL used to take pride in.
No, but I'm not even joking. The AHL website is
you guys
I understood it. It's way better than what is the NHL provides. It's actually embarrassing. So I couldn't get over it. And anyways, like I said, the fact of the matter is the Jets are going to be able to build on what they did tonight. And there were still a lot of positives. I mean, you want to talk about positives. David Gustafsson scoring his first regular season goal in almost 4 years, that's a huge thing for him. And look, Mason Appleton had 5 goals in 41 games, I think, for the Jets last year. He's already got 2 in 6. So, I mean, there are definitely some positives to take it away from.
And they were both beauties, like both one-timers, right? So they weren't just kind of garbage goals. That was a beauty shot from Gustafsson. Obviously, we'll get into it in the Betway game recap. But I agree, Dave. I was telling you this. Telling you that as we were watching the third period, Gustafsson was like, you knew Gustafsson was going to score a goal. Like, what was he going to go another whole season without a goal? So,
he couldn't actually, because there was already a Ginsburg guarantee in the preseason that said he was going to score a goal. And look, you could see that whether it was the conversation that Rick Bowness had with him in the summer, where essentially they said, your spot is not a guarantee. You're going to have to work to earn a spot on this Jets club. And you could see that David Gustafsson came in and wanted to earn a spot. He played really well in the preseason. He
was the 13th forward. I mean, he was the 13th forward until Gabe Velarde went down.
No, I understand that. I don't know, but I'm just saying. But when I say earn a spot, I mean like in the 13. I don't mean necessarily in the top 12. I'm just saying that he had to earn a spot and not be potentially sent down, or you know what I mean. That sort of thing. But ultimately, he did. He looked really good in the preseason, as he said. He leads the Jets in goals, and he provides an element again on that penalty kill and he provides another really good thing in that he and Rasmus Kupari are forming a little bit of a identity. And when you have Morgan Barron as well on that fourth line, as we've talked about it, the Jets for years haven't really had an identity with a fourth line. And now I think with these guys, and it's
the best fourth line since 2018 for sure. That 2017-18 season. And you're absolutely right, Dave. Gustafsson's on the wing now, but if you did need to move him to center, you obviously can. The thing that, and again, I'll remind everybody that David Minuk was the original David Gustafsson fan club. And he's been talking about how good Gustafsson is going back 5 years now. And what I just like about him, he's just a smart hockey player. Mm-hmm. He's just in the right spots. He's not going to, I don't think anybody expects him to be a 30-goal scorer in the NHL. I think he could probably be a 15-goal scorer or something like that. He's still young, right? But that's what stands out to me, boys, about Gustafsson. He's a reliable player. He's only 22, 23 years old, but the coaching staff, and also great that the Jets got the win. I'm not sure if we've mentioned that. I don't think we have yet. Obviously, with Judy Bowness and her health, you knew that the Jets were playing for something more than than a typical game. So obviously, all the best to the entire Bowness family.
Yeah, exactly right. All the best to the Bowness
and that
family.
Was a sentiment. Sorry, Drew. Let me just jump on quick. Mm-hmm. That was definitely a sentiment that was shared yesterday when we spoke to Josh Morrissey and Mark Scheifele. Not to say that the game was secondary, but it was definitely a sentiment that was expressed by those two players, the alternate captains of the Winnipeg Jets, and again with Scott Arniel, the associate coach, speaking about it. So you knew that they talked about the idea of getting a win for Rick, and that probably brought a lot of joy And they made a mention of Rick and Judy in the during the game, during what I think was the second period. They made a comment about it during the commercial timeout.
There you go. Thanks for that update there, Dave. Look, the Jets.
Oh, we should hold on. We should tell people that she suffered Rick. If you don't know, Rick Bowness's wife, Judy, suffered a seizure on Sunday, and she was in the hospital.
Yeah, and she's now back home, resting comfortably. But Rick has taken a leave of absence until they can further diagnose what's going on there. So of course, family comes first, and everyone would applaud that sentiment undoubtedly. Back to the game, and look, we talked about it before. St. Louis Blues they're a fairly middling team. You could say that without any elite goaltending. I mean, Jordan Binnington goes
pretty good
hot
tonight.
and cold. Yeah, he had flashes where he was good. I don't like him. I don't like his approach on the Kyle Connor goal, and we'll get into that when we get into the Betway game recap. Look, he's got peaks and valleys, and the Blues aren't. They're a
peaks
nice
and valleys. I think is a perfect way of describing Binnington's game. I mean, goalies are voodoo, Drew. You know that, but I mean, like the 2019 run was. Look, it was like one of those. It was like a Jean-Sébastien Giguère run with the Ducks in 2003, right? Like Binnington or Tim Thomas in 2011, right, Drew? Sorry, I just wanted to get that in there. That I do think that Binnington's for sure a number one goalie in the NHL. But there's the highs are high and the lows are low, right?
Yeah, he's a bottom half number one goalie. I would argue he's better when he's got a solid backup pushing him, I think, for competition. And look, regardless, the Jets consider themselves to be a better team than the St. Louis Blues. Deep down that they would say, and I think most people would say that the expectations for the Winnipeg Jets are higher than those for the St. Louis Blues. So when you're on home ice, you need to win a game like they did tonight. And the game started pretty slowly, with the 0-0, sort of a very feeling out period in that first period. And then the Jets were opportunistic in the second. But at the same time, I don't like some of the sloppiness that you saw from the Winnipeg Jets in the course of the game.
The Dylan DeMello turnover.
Yeah, Josh Morrissey's turnover. I understand what he's trying to do there, but there were a lot of times. Look, Jordan Kyrou has 2 breakaways in the course of this game. If Kyrou capitalizes on either of those 2, it's a completely different game. Now, Connor Hellebuck bested Kyrou on both of those, but you don't want that to happen. I just thought
that was a bad Nate Schmidt turnover.
Yeah, the Nate Schmidt turnover certainly was a bad one that led.
And the Jets got Drew
to
that idea, or to your point, the Jets got lucky because the puck bounced, right? Like the Blues had 3 men in the zone, and very easily after the Kyrou chance got stopped by Hellebuck, could have buried a rebound, and the puck was they got some puck luck. The Blues did not. And so it was bouncing a little bit. So the Jets,
Kyrou had another scoring chance, and he had 4 shots in the second period, which were his only 4 shots of the game.
Yeah, he was good.
I just checked. I thought he had actually 5, but he's a good player. But you're right, Drew. I mean, that's the vintage Hellebuck that we've come to expect. Yeah, and that's why we were surprised. I think most people were surprised. Through the first 3 games, he wasn't the reason why the Jets lost, but he wasn't. The normal Hellebuck that we're used to seeing. And he was fantastic on Saturday night against Edmonton after allowing those 2 goals. As Drew said on the post-game show, he shut the door and he said, okay, you guys got 2 goals on me, and that's going to be it for tonight. And same thing for tonight. I mean, he was excellent tonight, and he was the best player. I agree with Drew tonight. I think there were some great individual performances. I think Nick Ehlers looked better tonight, I should say, than he has through the first 5 games prior to tonight. I think he's going to get his goal. Cole Perfetti, obviously, we'll get into that in the Betway game recap. He was fantastic. I thought as well tonight, that second line, even though Drew and I both agree that he should be at center, I think, look, the Jets were rolling their lines and this game, if you looked at the score, you'd say it was close, but it really wasn't very close.
Well, the Jets got the victory is what they needed most. 4-2, things to clean up, no doubt. But the 4-2 victory and the 2 points and the winning 2 games in a row is what they will gladly put into the bank before they head out on that 2-game road trip. With the victory, the Jets moved to 3-3, tied with the Nashville Predators. The Arizona Coyotes also have 6 points, but it's a little too early in the season to really be doing that much standings watch. I can assure you of that. Let's get into the Betway game recap, talking about the Jets and the Blues.
The Betway game recap.
Betway game recap brought to you by our friends at Betway, proud sponsors of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. You know all this, folks. Head on over to Betway and bet your way. There's nothing else to be waiting for. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. Big thanks to our friends at Betway for their sponsorship of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Like we mentioned, first period, not a lot in that first period. Not a lot of activity, not a lot of action. Shots were 8-6 for the Winnipeg Jets.
Sure, you're not going to mention Duke?
Duke, the pup drop. Yes, Duke is always pups are always number one on this program. Everyone knows that. But Duke, yes, did a very impressive pup drop, not puck drop, but pup.
Is that
drop.
what they were calling it? A pup drop?
I think that's what I saw somebody say something about pup drop. I don't know if that was.
You'd think they would have trouble with they lack opposable digits.
Yeah, but they're smarter than. Have you seen some of these dogs? I see they're pretty smart. They know how to drop a puck if trained properly. It's like the dogs that are the bat dogs in some minor league baseball stadiums where they run up onto the field and collect the hitter's bat after the at bat. But a great job by Duke. The Toba Center were I guess the headline guests at tonight's contest. Adam Lowry heavily involved with them, and I think there was a sizable donation that he made to the Toba Center. So that was a very nice pregame ceremony, pregame moment, a little bit of giving back to the community like that. Always great to see. And then the game started and not a lot happened in that first period, Dave. Both teams sort of feeling each other out. First time they've
nice save by Hellebuck on Brandon Saad, Drew.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, and that was it for really the scoring chances. Yeah.
It was
big
low
rebound.
Event. It was definitely low event.
Yeah. Big rebound that Brandon Saad probably should have capitalized on, and somehow he sort of shot it and squeaked it right back through Connor Hellebuck, and combination of the save and probably a bit of a miscue on the shot, but the Jets will gladly sneak away from that high danger chance, Dave.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it, and I know that people were panicking about Connor Hellebuck, but it sure seems like the Connor Hellebuck that everyone expected to know that you've come to expect is back. And I'm not saying he's going to be phenomenal every single game, but he was pretty damn good this game. And as he's right, like this is a game that the Jets needed Connor Hellebuck once again to do what he does, which is when they make mistakes, he bails them out. And you don't apologize for having one of the best, goaltenders in the NHL. It's just part of the reality of your hockey team. It's in this team's DNA. And part of that is when there are miscues, and we've talked about it with this team, they're not going to be the best defensive team in the NHL. And when they do, he is there more often than not to make those big saves. So he did what he did. And first of all, we should mention, because our friends at Eye Candy Air put together his mask, phenomenal mask. I mean, the Heritage Classic stuff is always amazing. I saw some of the people in the chat talking about the Heritage Classic whites. I'd love to see those too, because I think those are the best jerseys they've ever made. I think those ones are
so clean.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So clean,
like
so
the blue,
sharp.
the blue's good.
Yeah.
But the white are just like the best ones.
300%
that they've ever made. I think they're incredible. So I saw someone say that those should be the playoff ones. I think that would be fantastic as well. But I definitely think the white Heritage Classic, but Hellebuck's mask was pretty neat. We just saw our friends at Eye Candy Air tagged us in their post about it. So we should mention that. But it was. I mean, it wasn't a particularly noteworthy first period. I will say,
and also, guys, I wanted to throw in there too. There was that 2-on-1. Jake Neighbors had the shot, and Hellebuck kind of made the save look easy, but it was still an odd man rush. And the Blues and the Jets both had two even strength chances, high danger scoring chances. So there was like the Brandon Saad save was very crafty. And then there was the Jake Neighbors 2-on-1 save. Not to mention, like we talked about, the Jordan Kyrou breakaways in the second period, right? So like this wasn't like, that 50 save performance in San Jose or anything like that. But Hellebuck was excellent. He was better than Binnington.
Yeah.
And so we'll get into the goal here, but I agree with you. It was low event, but Hellebuck still had to make two pretty darn good saves.
He did definitely have to make those 2 saves, and then the Jets were able to get the scoring going in the second period. We can say that both goals in the second period, and they came one after another, 18 seconds apart. Low to high is what the Winnipeg Jets did on both of those goals. The first one, David Gustafsson, his first of the season, assist to Cole Perfetti and Dylan DeMello. And we only have a few rules here on this program. One of them is to always wear pants. And the second one is that if you score your first NHL goal in 4 seasons, you get rewarded with the Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
That, of course, going to David Gustafsson as he taking a shot of water there. But Seagram's always encourages you to drink responsibly, whatever might be in front of you, as long as you consume responsibly. Big thanks to Seagram's, of course, for their sponsorship here on the post-game show. David Gustafsson is first in 4 years. Hard to believe that it's been that long, but such is life. He gets his first assist to Cole Perfetti and Dylan DeMello, and it's a really nice pass by Cole Perfetti, just showing some exquisite vision to find Gustafsson. And good on Gustafsson. You know, when you haven't scored for that long, sometimes you begin to second guess yourself. You begin to look for the perfect play. Instead, it was on and off his stick in a blink of an eye and past Jordan Binnington to give the Jets the 1-0 lead, Dave.
Well, first of all, I've already in contravention of rule number 1 because I'm not wearing pants. I'm wearing shorts. So sorry about that.
I'm wearing shorts too, but you know what I meant.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I was taking it a little literally there, but look, I mean, there's no question about it that it's great to score in the preseason and to get that good feeling, but to be able to score a goal, to be a contributor, we know what David Gustafsson is going to be on this team. He's not going to be a goal scorer on this team. He's expected to be the guy who is responsible defensively, who's going to play the PK and, effectively shut down the opposition. And really, that fourth line, you don't want to see goals against. If they can score and they can contribute, that's fantastic. Obviously, that's a bonus, but ultimately, that's not hit your expectation. Having said that, early in the season, for him to kind of get that monkey off his back, to get that good feeling, with the goal, and you're right, Drew. It wasn't an ugly goal. It was a beauty. It was right place, right time. Went to the front of the net, and Perfetti, as he's right. I mean, Cole Perfetti was excellent throughout the course of this game. And he was feeding guys, and he could have had at least 3 or 4 assists in this game because he made so many nice passes throughout the course of this hockey game. Guys weren't able to bury their opportunities, unlike David Gustafsson. But there were probably 3 or 4 other chances as that he could have had assists on. But yeah, it's a huge thing for the Jets, and it was early in the second period, so you're getting a little bit of momentum. You get the crowd excited. And again, like I said, it's also because it's David Gustafsson. So there's a little bit more juice to it just because everybody knows he went all of last season. Everybody knows that he's got the Ginsburg guarantee hanging over his head, but he gets the goal. He gives the Jets a 1-0 lead and he's feeling good.
Yeah. And just quickly before we get to the Appleton goal, and I was just checking the even strength expected goals. That line was in the top. They were all in the top 5 for the Jets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that line is clicking right now. And we were talking about this on the post game show Saturday night. Like Drew and I were saying, I mean, the numbers backed it up. That was the Jets' best line. It actually wasn't the Scheifele, Connor, Iafallo / Appleton line. Mm-hmm. It was the Ehlers, Perfetti, Nemestikov line. Mm-hmm. And what I love, Dave, about that goal, in addition to obviously the beautiful backhand pass by Perfetti and the top corner shot by David Gustafsson, is that Nemestikov holds on to the puck there, and then he's the guy that goes off the ice. Mm-hmm. And then there's obviously, it's a partial change because Perfetti is obviously, he's the guy that isn't on that line because Nemestikov and Ehlers went off the ice. But I just love, I've just been really impressed by Nemestikov. Not only was I impressed with your interview with Nemestikov that I wasn't there for, I'm just continuously impressed by him. He's just a smart player. Like he just has great hockey IQ. I know it's cliche, but Nemestikov just fits in really nicely there on the second line. And yeah, it was just a great play. And just watching the replay, like it's just so nice to see Gustafsson with a big smile on his face. You just love to see that type of stuff.
You do. It's anytime you're a professional athlete or you're watching a professional athlete, and either they're struggling to get the puck in the net, or they can't get a base hit, or whatever the issue might be. When they finally get that relief, you can see it on their face, and it is sort of nice when that happens. And certainly that was the case for David Gustafsson. And while the goal was still being announced and the crowd was still cheering, the Jets made it 2-0. Mason Appleton, his second of the season, just as everyone expected. The Jets goal scorers to be Gustafsson and Appleton to start tonight's game. Adam Lowry, his third assist, and Neil Pionk. And again, it's another low to high play where the Jets are finding soft ice sort of just outside the blue paint, and the St. Louis Blues are just poor in their gaps. Lowry just finds Appleton there, and again, on and off his stick really quick. Jordan Binnington really doesn't get a lot of a chance to set up or react. He's got it's on and off. It's below the goal line on Lowry's stick. It's up to Appleton. It's off Appleton's stick quickly, and the Jets have a 2-0 lead. And you like how the Jets are reading and reacting in these instances.
Yeah, and what I was thinking too is like on this play, it's Tyler Tucker, who's a young player. I know he's a late draft pick. He's from Thunder Bay. I heard Dan Robertson mention that on the broadcast. He was on the ice for the first goal, and then he stayed off. It was the third pair for the Blues is Marco Scandella and Tyler Tucker. And I thought, like, Adam Lowry, that was just like a man. That was a veteran pro against a rookie defenseman. And you're right, Drew. I mean, like Mason Appleton, like he's just all alone. And it was Braden Schen's the second line center, and he's just not covered there. Mm-hmm. And I forget who the other player, the other forward on that line. It could have been Pavel Buchnevich, but just nobody. Buchnevich and Shen, like nobody's covering Mason Appleton. So Lowry cycles and brings the puck from like you said behind the net with Tucker covering him, and then he just feeds it right in Mason Appleton's wheelhouse, and he one-times it past Jordan Binnington. So it was just poor defensive coverage by the Blues.
Yeah, it was. They were just a step slow, just very casual, and just not, I mean, I use the phrase all the time. The attention to detail wasn't there. And in the NHL, when your attention to detail isn't there, teams will take advantage of it. We've seen that for so many years from the Winnipeg Jets perspective, where they're sloppy in their own end, or they're lackadaisical in terms of their defensive responsibilities, and before they can react, the puck is behind their goaltender, and that's a similar situation to what you see here. Good execution by the Jets, but at the same time, the Blues are lacking in their execution, which
they were on their heels, right? Like that's to me, Drew. You're absolutely right. The attention to detail wasn't there, and at any level of hockey, coaches are going to say, right, like you don't want to be standing around, and that's kind of what it looked like on that goal. Is the Blues were just watching the Jets cycle the puck in their zone. And yeah, we don't want to take anything away from Adam Lowry's pass or Mason Appleton's goal. But certainly the Blues were on their heels at that point.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then, so the Jets were the better of the two teams for the first 10 or even 12 minutes, I'd say, of that second period, Dave. And then the St. Louis Blues, the Jets began to run into some penalty trouble, and the Blues began to take over in the latter half of the second period.
Yeah, and we were watching that, and I was like, you just got to be a little bit crispier, and that's the problem with the Jets right now. Like, I'm not going to use your attention to detail because I think you guys just said it 10 times in the last 2 minutes. Yeah. So I'll leave that one out there for you. But I think, it's one of those things that it was just some sloppiness that the Jets have to clean up. Some of those miscues that are leading to opportunities, whether they're power plays or just direct opportunities on Connor Hellebuyck. I mean, look, as we've detailed, St. Louis isn't a particularly good hockey team. So a team like Vegas, a team like, LA, like whomever is going to make you pay if you're making mistakes like that. Now, Connor Hellebuyck playing like Connor Hellebuyck, that is the great equalizer for this Winnipeg Jets club, and it has been for a number of years. So that's always there. But you just don't need to be relying on that sort of thing. You need to clean up your hockey game and need to, again, to ensure that you are doing those little things, because again, you got to put in good habits now that are going to last you the entirety of the season. You can't be sloppy and be like, well, we got the win. It's 2 points. We put it in the bank and let's move on. Right. I mean, the reality is
then you play a Vegas Golden Knights, or, you play a Colorado Avalanche, and then they'll put 4 or 5 goals past you. Right.
Right. And again, you're also trying to do something. You're trying to ingrain in your team a culture, a thought process, whatever it is, that muscle memory. So when you are in the playoffs and you need to be able to rely on these sorts of things, they're not new phenomenon. You've been doing it for 82 games or whatever it is, and you'll be able to have that in the tool bag. Because again, like I said, you just don't want to be in a situation where you're always relying on Connor Hellebuyck. Oh, well, we made a mistake, but Hellebuyck, bailed us out. We know that's always going to be there for this Winnipeg Jets hockey club. But again, part of it also is keeping Connor Hellebuyck fresh, and they didn't give up a ton of shots. Right. And at one point in the second period, worth mentioning, the Jets were out shooting St. Louis 7-1. Mm-hmm. So it really wasn't looking like St. Louis was in this hockey game. And again, I think that's a testament to what the Jets needed to do, because ultimately, if you don't give up those penalties and you're up 7-1 in shots, you're up 2-0 in the game, you're kind of steamrolling them. And Binnington had played well, and he'd made some, and look, they got a good chance on one of the penalties. Adam Lowry, the shorthanded goal specialist, gets that chance. And
it was a 2-on-0.
Yeah, it was a 2-on-0. And you know what? Credit Binnington.
It was a single file 2-on-0.
But credit Binnington, because he punches the puck away after Lowry tries to slide at 5-hole, because if he hadn't, Nemestikov could have very easily buried that shot. And made it a 3-0 hockey game. And instead they don't. And then, of course, they subsequently score a goal late in that second period to cut the lead in half. But I just think it's one of the things the Jets, again, we know the coaching staff is going to focus on this, and we'll hear from Coach Scott O'Neill, we hope, after the game.
We hope is the operative word.
Yes, exactly. Maybe during the commercial break, I'll jump out of this conversation. I'll go into a different one, and I'll test whether this is working. Or maybe, Drew, you should, since you're going to be the guy who's doing that.
I can possibly try that. It sounds like a lot of effort that I'm not sure I'm mentally
equipped
to do, but we'll try it out. In any event, as you mentioned, the Blues cut the Jets lead in half. Pavel Buchnevich, his first of the season, on the power play at the 18:25 mark, assist to Braden Shen and Jordan Kyrou. Yeah, just a beautiful tip by Buchnevich, putting it under the crossbar and beating Connor Hellebuyck. And it was going to take a beautiful shot to beat Hellebuyck tonight, and that's certainly what they got from Buchnevich. Just found some soft ice, found his stick away from being tied up by the Jets defenseman DeMello and Dillon on the PK here, and he makes a very nice tip of the Shen slap pass to make it 2-1, Ezzy.
Yeah, I think I don't know how much more I can add there, Drew. I think that's exactly what it was. Like, it was a beautiful tip. I don't think any goalie really could have stopped that. And up until that point, as you mentioned, Hellebuyck was perfect. And, Brendan Dillon is the defenseman that's covering Buchnevich there. And, his positioning is fine. There's nothing wrong with his positioning. And like we talked about, when you take 3 penalties in a row, and I agree with Dave, like, that just disrupts the flow of the game. Beautiful tip by Buchnevich. But again, it was a 2-1 game at that point, but it shouldn't have been. And that's kind of the point we're trying to make, right? So if you turn the puck over, like, Nate Schmidt, it's unfortunate because I thought he was much better against Edmonton after coming back into the lineup for Logan Stanley, but DeMello turned the puck over. Nate Schmidt turned the puck over. Kyrou gets a couple breakaways, but Hellebuyck stops it. But then you give them 3 power plays in a row. And, I think that was the Dylan Samberg high sticking penalty.
It was
one, right?
It was the Samberg. It was the Samberg high stick just after Morrissey's hooking penalty.
Which was funny because when we watched it in first light, and I tweeted, I said, did Dylan Samberg just get a penalty for being too strong? Yeah. And so then you're like, okay. And then you watch the replay and you're like, oh no, Dylan Samberg got a penalty for high sticking. That makes sense.
Exactly. And you got a penalty for having poor eyesight in your
in my defense. I mean, we're at one end of the press box. That was happening at the other end of the press box.
After 40 minutes
on the side of the road, Mindell.
After 40 minutes, 2-1 for the Jets. They make it 3-1, 4-on-4 situation. Kyle Connor gets his 4th of the season, sort of quietly, that he's got 4 goals already this year. But he gets his 4th, assist to Nate Schmidt. So Nate Schmidt gets credit on this one. A very strong play by Nate Schmidt to be able to set up Kyle Connor. But I have to tell you, I mean, look, it's a great shot by Connor. He goes short side on Jordan Binnington. I hate how Jordan Binnington plays this shot.
I'm going to disagree with you on this one.
You say you disagree with me?
No. I'll let you go into it. I'll let you get into it.
So Scheifele's driving hard to the net as well. It's a 2-on-1 situation. And Binnington's responsibility here is the shooter. The goalie's responsibility on a 2-on-1 is the shooter. He's cheating on this. He's way deep in his net, and he's cheating off of the goalpost, anticipating Kyle Connor passing it over to Scheifele. And look, Kyle Connor's got some skills when it comes to distributing the puck. But he's also, a hell of a goal scorer in this league. I don't know if I need to remind anybody about that or remind Binnington about that. I hate the way that Binnington plays this, just trying to cheat on this play rather than...
Well, and he drops to the ice, right? Like
right, he's on the ground.
That's the thing. So I said that to Dave. Like, look, I think, Dave, here, you jump in here in a second, but like what I was thinking was by doing that, by dropping, and like Drew's saying, you're not going to stop the shot. Like you don't have an opportunity to stop the shot.
You're deep.
I think that's what Drew's trying to say. It was a nice shot by Kyle Connor.
It was,
but it just was badly played by Jordan Binnington, who we talked about was pretty good in this game.
You're deep in your net. You're giving up the short side. I also don't like Nick Leddy's effort on this play. If you go back and watch Nick Leddy's effort here, he could have fit in on some recent Jets teams with his very weak back checking effort on this one. But okay, Dave, I've made my point. You can defer. You can say
it's not a huge argument with you, and I agree with Ez. Like his dropping down did give Kyle Connor that space, and Kyle Connor doesn't need. Like he gave Kyle Connor this much space. Kyle Connor could have been fine with something like that. So, I mean, giving Kyle Connor a little bit more window is never a good thing. I just thought Scheifele played a really good deceptive role there. And agree that like Binnington should have been more aware. And I think he did cheat, but I just think like, it just goes to show you how much of a problem Mark Scheifele is and how aware goaltenders are of Mark Scheifele, that I think he was just like expecting that to be a pass over to Scheifele, and he anticipated the pass and he was wrong. He miscalculated. It took a risk and he miscalculated. Now, had he been standing, I think he's trying to do that so he can get the move over across. Yeah. So I mean, look, I'm not like saying you're 100% wrong. I just thought that I could see the way Scheifele played that really well to set himself as a decoy. Sure. That in that regard, so Binnington is expecting Scheifele to get that puck, and he's doing a good job. So I mean, I'm just saying that I think you got to give credit to the play of Mark Scheifele there, driving the net and setting himself up as that target for Connor to, get into Binnington's head and be like, I got to get over there because that's Mark Scheifele coming down. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not 100. As he says, goaltenders are a little voodoo. I won't pretend to ever. I've never, aside from a little RHL Rupertson Hockey League, I've never played goaltender. But I will say that
I think I played goalie once in like house league hockey. I think I was on the Blackhawks, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's the only time. And it's like you guys remember like the old community center brown pads, like those old soft ones that like you put them on and like you take a shot and like dust would come off of the goalie pads. Yeah. That's the only time I play. I agree with Drew when he said it's been a quiet 4 goals in 6 games for Kyle Connor. Mm-hmm. Like we talked about it on Saturday's post-game show, Dave. Yeah. Like he had a beautiful pass from Josh Morrissey that, if it's mid-season, that's in the back of the net. He was missing the net quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been quiet 4 goals, which tells you how good Kyle Connor is, right? That he's got 4 goals and you basically, you think he should probably have more like 6 or 7.
Yeah. So 3-1 for the Jets. So they get the insurance marker and things are looking pretty good for the rest of the third period. They get a little hairy, as they always do for the Winnipeg Jets, on a bad turnover by Josh Morrissey, and then a subsequent pinball play where Morrissey is getting pressured and he's trying to backhand it behind his own goal. It's a blind backhand pass. This is not like Josh Morrissey. I think he was anticipating that one of his defensive that DeMello would have been there. Instead, it wasn't. Instead, it was Pavel Buchnevich who centers it out front, and it pinballs off of Mason Appleton's skate right onto the stick of Robert Thomas, and he gets his first of the season, firing it point blank past Connor Hellebuyck. No chance for Hellebuyck, and all of a sudden, again, things are getting a little bit nerve-wracking for the Jets. 3-2 late in the third period against the Blues, Dave.
I should point out,
yes,
that as I walked through Canada Life, having talked to Kathy and Dawn at security, and they cleared me to walk in the building, and I walked through the building, and I got to the elevators that take us up to the press box. As I was getting ready to go into the elevators, local celebrity, Dancing Gabe, is walking out. So he says, hello, Dave from Illegal Curve. He also passed on his regards to both of you, said hello, told me to tell you, say hello to Ezra and Drew.
Yes.
So hello on behalf of Dancing Gabe to the two of you.
Thank you. Hello to you as well, Gabe.
And so it's interesting. So we chatted for a few minutes, and I said, "So Gabe, what's your score prediction for the game?" And he paused for a second. He goes, 3-2 Jets. So while we're not hopeful for a result, I was hopeful that Dancing Gabe would stand up. So Dancing Gabe's scored. Now we knew that they were going to pull the goaltender again. There's a good chance it wouldn't, but Dancing Gabe was pretty close. Pretty close. That man has seen a lot of hockey games. So
Dancing Gabe had a good prediction. I told Dave my prediction before this game was 6-1 Jets after seeing what the Coyotes did to the Blues. So obviously Dancing Gabe was a lot closer, but I think that you guys would agree the Jets easily could have had a few more goals. And I just wanted to say one thing, Drew, on that goal. I think DeMello was there, but Buchnevich was the one who dumped the puck in. Morrissey retrieves it.
Yeah.
And you got to give credit to Buchnevich. Like, he comes in there, and I'm not like the only way.
First game of the year, has he?
Well, and the thing is, you're right, Drew. Like, Morrissey manages the puck really well most of the time. But aside from DeMello yelling at Morrissey, saying like, don't pass me the puck, pretty much. I'd give a ton of credit to Buchnevich on that goal.
Yeah, look, he gets full credit for hustling and for putting himself into the position with which to force the turnover. And it's not a typical Josh Morrissey play. So, both things can be true. Nonetheless, it's 3-2 for the Jets at this point in time. The Blues pull the goalie again in the last 90 seconds or so of the game. They don't really get anything that would amount to a scoring chance. The Jets did a very good job of keeping things to the outside when they gained the zone. And then quickly, Neil Pionk, Mark Scheifele with a very strong defensive play, almost single-handedly winning a puck battle against three St. Louis Blues players, and feathers it over to Morgan Barron, who puts it into the Blues empty net, capping off tonight's scoring. 4-2 for the Jets over the St. Louis Blues, and you have to like how Mark Scheifele certainly played there on that last shift to set up the Morgan Barron goal.
So this is what I saw in that Morgan Barron goal.
Yeah, he managed to hit the net, but
he went to the center of the net. He scored a goal. No,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right, Drew. I mean, look, anybody who has watched the games can see that 55 is playing a different game than we saw last year. He played this game a little bit last year. I don't want to completely pretend like he wasn't, there was none of this, but we are consistently seeing a different effort from Mark Scheifele through 6 games of this season. And guys, what did we talk about throughout the course of the summer? Was one of the most important factors for this Jets club was for Mark Scheifele to round out his game and to really develop all around. And I'm not going to say that Mark Scheifele is becoming Steve Yzerman. I'm going to hold that one in my pocket as he for
what
a little
about
bit
Guy
longer.
Carbonneau?
Yeah, not yet. We're not doing that just yet. But
what about Bob Gainey?
There are a lot of those good.
What about Yuri Letnin?
Come on, give me some Devils now, Ez. Come on.
John Madden.
There you go. The point is that you're seeing an effort from 55 that if this Jets club wants to do anything is going to be necessary. And so far through 6 games, you're seeing it from him, and you're seeing the type of leadership that you needed to see from a guy, both, throughout the course of all areas of the ice, the 200-foot game, that mysterious 200-foot game. Now you're still expecting 55, 81, and 9 to be spending most of their time in the offensive zone. But when they need to, you want to see Scheifele doing what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the Jets want. And as a result, 4-2 victory. They get the victory on home ice. That's, home for the one gamer, and then they're off on the road, and they certainly needed that win. And they get it to even their record now at 3-3 through the first 6 games of this 2023-24 regular season. Big thanks to our friends at Betway for their sponsorship of the post-game show and the Betway game recap. When we come back, we're going to do the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment. We're going to hopefully play the audio of Jets associate head coach Scott Arniel. We'll talk a little bit about the glimpse of the interview that we've seen from Mark Chipman and Darren Dreger. Much more to come. It's Tuesday night. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg. Don't go anywhere. We're live on our YouTube channel.
Your coworkers love you because you always make them laugh. You're the life of the party with stories that have them rolling on the floor. Or maybe you're just the quiet one in the corner with the one-liners that just slay. Do you have what it takes to become Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job? Try your luck. Hit the stage at Rumors Comedy Club, and you could be walking away with $1,000 cash. Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job, presented by Rumors. For all the details, head to rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
The game can change just like that. Accidents happen when you aren't protected. So now what? Getting to your injury quickly can make all the difference. Help prevent them from being game changers with Linden Market Dental Center. Bonding, crowns, bridges, and dental implants. State-of-the-art treatments are available to help you get back in the game. To learn more, visit lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Boston Pizza harnessed Fanalytics to test if the game is better at home or at Boston Pizza. The results are irrefutable. Catch the game at Boston Pizza, powered by Fanalytics.
Are you dreaming of your very own backyard rink this winter, but dreading the work involved? Well, stress no longer, because the Rink Guys are here to make it happen. The Rink Guys are Winnipeg's first outdoor skating rink installation and rink maintenance service. The Rink Guys offer free site evaluations and different rink construction options. Plus, they use a custom-sized liner to prevent any damage to your lawn. Lighting packages are also available to help illuminate your rink during those long, dark winter nights. To get your rink started today, visit therinkguys.com. For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the illegal curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. $11:15. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. We'll be back again on Thursday night to cover the Jets and the Detroit Red Wings. I think that's a 6 o'clock puck drop. I hope I'm right about that.
It
6
is.
o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern.
Alex DeBrincat, leading scorer in the NHL, boys.
Yeah, you know what? He's certainly looking great for the Detroit Red Wings, coming over from Ottawa after he said he wouldn't sign there. So the Red Wings are not your they're finally seems like they're maybe through that sort of rebuilding stage that they've been in forever. Good old friend Andrew Kopp will be around 5-1-1. The Red Wings are, and they're scoring a ton of goals. I think they lead the NHL in goals for, with 34 goals scored in their first 7 games. They've given up 20. So they're maybe giving up a few more than they would like, but they're certainly putting a lot of pucks behind goaltenders all throughout the NHL, placing them with that solid 5-1-1 record. So it'll certainly be
defense and the goaltending that's I think going to be determined whether they get into the playoffs. Because like you said, Drew, I mean, DeBrincat, Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, you mentioned Andrew Kopp. I mean, yeah, like they've got a lot of talent. But yeah, that's, to me, it's going to be how that defense holds up.
let me ask you guys this. So we've only seen a snippet of the interview so far. So we've only seen a snippet what they showed on TSN Insider Trading, and it'll be released in full on Thursday. Of course, I'm speaking about the interview between Mark Chipman and Darren Dreger, where they were addressing the recent attendance issues at Winnipeg Jets games. And again, attendance was not strong at tonight's contest as well. I think I saw a little over 11,000 in attendance for this, epic Tuesday night battle between the Jets and the St. Louis Blues in the middle of October. From what you've seen of the interview, did you have any thoughts? Did you have any sort of feelings based on what you've seen of the interview so far?
Not really, because we only saw like a minute of it, right? And I mean, I thought the first question was not really. I mean, the question I would rather hear the response to is like, why do you think the attendance is so low? I mean, like, what is Mark Chipman going to say when he's asked? I mean, is there a threat of relocation? Like, yeah, exactly. So I mean, obviously, Darren. I don't have to tell Darren Dreger how to do his job. Well, but I mean, we talked about it on Saturday with Jeff Hamilton, right? Like, the Jets owners have deep pockets, and also this is the first year in which the attendance has dipped like this. The first year, right? So. And I'm not saying that, like the Jets are going to start averaging 15,500 a game, starting next Monday against the Rangers. They definitely have some work to do. But like what we saw in that clip, I'd like to see the whole interview before I really, make a comment. But, Mark Chipman said it himself, 10 straight years of a shootout, of a sellout. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, there's a pandemic. And there's nobody watching games, and the economy's bad now, and people are being more careful with their money. Like, I told this to Dave. The one thing I would love to hear from Mark Chipman is for him to say that their marketing campaign was a huge failure, because let's be honest, that was a huge failure. I don't think you can scare people into buying tickets.
I would agree with your succinct assessment there so far, Ezzy, and probably reserving judgment until we see the interview as a whole is a good decision. But nonetheless, obviously TSN is teased it out there, Dave, and I mean, yeah, you know what. There's a whole debate going on our Twitter feed about was Dreger the appropriate person to conduct that interview. I mean, it certainly was a much softer interview than one that would have been conducted with a lot of other members of the local media. But whatever, that's True North's prerogative. I don't want to get into that. I mean, Dreger certainly handles it with kid gloves because he knows who his sources are and he knows who he needs to keep on the good side. I do think the whole thing is significantly overblown at this point in time. But what I don't see and what I need to see is True North taking more ownership over the issue. Exactly. As opposed to just saying, well, why aren't the fans supporting us? Well, maybe they should be looking inwards as to why aren't the fans supporting it, as opposed to why is it.
That's why I said that, Drew. That's why, I'll be curious to see if Mark Chipman talks about that, like, the responsibility of like what is True North maybe not done very, very well, right? Mm-hmm. And so that I'm not sure if they'll get into that, but yeah, I mean, and in terms of is Darren Dreger? I mean, Darren Dreger is the TSN insider, right? Like, so he's him, Elliot Friedman, guys like this, like those are the ones that get those types of interviews.
They get those.
I would love to see Mike McIntyre get that interview.
Right. They're gonna. I mean, they get those interviews because they're tissue soft when they do the interview. I mean, let's be perfectly blunt and perfectly honest. You don't go to Dreger or Chip or Friedman or any of those guys who work for one of the big networks, expecting hard-hitting journalism. You don't. It's just the reality of the situation. You expect the friendliest interview known to mankind, and that's certainly what they're good at delivering.
I'm still trying to figure out what your question was, Drew.
Sorry.
That was quite the monologue. I'm not certain there was actually a question at any point for me. But
I think at some point in time, there's something that could have ended with a question mark.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of options for you to go question, but you didn't. Yeah. You just kept kind of going. So I was like,
talk about.
So I'm like, what do you want me to say here? Look, I'm with Ez. Like, you got to see the full media availability before you're going to judge the sum of its parts and all that stuff. But ultimately, there's so many things at play. And for folks to pretend like it's just one issue or it's just one thing or Winnipeg's a shitty market or blah, blah, blah. It's like, is Buffalo a bad market? Like Buffalo with one of the youngest.
We were there for the
exciting
draft in 2016 when Patrick Laine was selected second overall by the Jets. Buffalo's a great hockey market.
Of course, they're a great hockey market. And one thing actually I learned today, did not know, maybe you guys knew this. I did not know it. Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press told me today. I did not know that Buffalo plays the anthems for both America and Canada, regardless of whether they're playing a Canadian team or not. So even if they're playing another American
Probably
team,
because they're so close to the border.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that. But Minnesota doesn't do that, as far as I know, and a number of other border cities don't do that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I didn't know. Mike told me that today, and I thought
still
that was
like the
kind
anthems. I know some people don't like the national anthem.
Yeah, I just thought
I'm a traditionalist in that sense.
I just thought it was a neat little factoid. Actually, shout out to the anthem singer from today. I thought she was fantastic. She did a really good job. I didn't catch her name. She was young, but like I thought she actually did a really good job. My point is, quickly as I segue, is that Buffalo, San Jose, I mean, Arizona's Arizona, but the fact is that there are soft numbers around the league. Winnipeg is an easy target because of obviously what happened with the 1.0. The corporate sales you can't ignore them. I mean, as he made a good point. He said, look, I think the fans actually have done a pretty good job, but it's not necessarily on the fans. It's on the corporate community. It's also on True North, not only to sell to the corporate community, but also to do a better job of marketing themselves. Their marketing campaign sucked, before the playoffs last year. I mean, sorry, it was just, it didn't do anything other than create bad negative feelings. The idea that you signed Hellebuck and Scheifele, that would have been something that you could have sold to this marketplace. Some people don't like it. Some people are upset about it. But the fact of the matter is you could have used that as a sales pitch in June or July, not necessarily in October. So there's, and again, ultimately, and the biggest one for folks at the end of the day, and I've seen the comments in the chat, do you pay your mortgage? Do you pay for groceries, or do you go to a hockey game?
I know the answer. It's not the hockey
so I
game.
mean, again, so like there's so many factors that go into this, and ultimately, do I think? And here's the other one. Here's the other one that no one's, for whatever reason, nobody's talking about. And Ezzy and I talked about it, and it's nothing like earth shattering. You know why the Jets are not moving? Because True North has invested tens of millions of dollars in the downtown of Winnipeg.
Yes.
And as much as I love covering AHL hockey, they didn't do that to be an AHL city. They did that because this is an NHL city. So for whatever folks are, all the people outside this market who are suddenly experts on Winnipeg,
all experts.
It's
crazy.
Amazing. I'm listening to all these people. Winnipeg. First of all, again, rich people don't get rich.
Did Ottawa not have trouble? Like Ottawa's a great city. Ottawa had trouble when the Senators were struggling and Eugene Melnyk. I mean, their attendance was struggling. Obviously, Ottawa's a kind of similar size market, but you've obviously got a lot more people in the surrounding areas. But it's ridiculous for there to be 11,000, 12,000 fans for the first 3 or 4 games of the season. And then all of a sudden now you're talking about relocation. I mean,
Dave, you're absolutely right about how infuriating it is that all these carpetbaggers come from around the different marketplaces that have never set foot in Winnipeg or have set foot in Winnipeg for 1 hour once, and all of a sudden they proclaim themselves as experts as to what the issues are that are dealing with attendance, as if they're more complex than people have a limited amount of money and they can only spend it what they can, and tickets are expensive and everything else has gotten a lot more expensive in the same period of time as well. It's amazing. Everybody is all of a sudden a world-renowned expert on Winnipeg. They come out of the woodwork very quickly. The cockroaches do in some of their opinion making.
And Dave mentioned all of the develop, like the True North Square and everything like that, and True North. I don't know if they have officially purchased Portage Place, but there was that announcement 3 or 4 months ago that they were going to redevelop Portage Place. But not only that, I mean, the biggest difference between 2023 and the mid 90s, 1996, when the Jets moved to Phoenix, is Winnipeg is growing, right? Like at that point, Winnipeg was kind of around 650,000, something like that. Now, what is Winnipeg? 800,000? It might even be 850,000. I'm not sure what the last, census population was, but you look around, you go around Winnipeg. I mean, whether you're in Bridgewater or Sage Creek or you're in the east end of the city or the north end of the city past Garden City. Like there's residential development everywhere. Like Winnipeg's growing, it's booming. It really is. And that's a huge difference when you have a stagnant population and a stagnant economy versus a growing population and a growing economy. So I just wanted to throw that in there. It's not apples and apples here. 1996, the old Winnipeg Arena. I mean, it's just to compare what's happening now to 1996 is absurd.
You can't. They control the entire market. They literally control downtown. Unlike the 1.0 version, who didn't even own their own arena, True North owns pretty much everything in the downtown. So that's why it's incumbent on them to fix the downtown and do some things to make it a better, more desirable place to be. And again, this is why a lot of this is incumbent on True North to get their act together and figure some things out. But look, it's not going to be a quick solution. It's not going to be an easy solution. But ultimately, guys, at the end of the day, again, rich people don't get rich by saying, sure, we can lose money. But remember, they bought this franchise for $150 million. What's it worth? Yeah. 600? 700 million now?
Look what the Senators sold for. The Senators sold for,
Exactly. My point is, and remember, if the NHL
put it this way, Dave, it's a lot more than 150 million. It's definitely closer to $1 billion.
Right. And remember, speaking of that billion number, Ezzy, if the NHL does expand and the rumored expansion dollars are $1 billion. By the way, the other thing about, I saw someone complaining about the players not getting any of the money. Well, that's true, but there's also, another 23 players that are going to have jobs that would be in the AHL making AHL salaries as opposed to the NHL minimum. So
I just want to make it clear, though, I don't think the NHL should be expanding to 33 or 34
obviously.
I mean, let's maybe move the Coyotes first before we, start adding 33.
Anyways, all I'm saying is, look, we're not going to go into accounting 101 here, but there are so many different layers to this situation with True North. And I mean, guys, look at all the concerts these guys bring in. Look at all of the other revenue sources they have. They're a private run company.
Drew had the time of his life at 50 Cent and Busta Rhymes.
It's true, I did. I've been playing some Jeremiah left, right, and center since the concert.
Oh, Matthew Thompson, I like this one. He says, all three of you guys deserve your own Tough Duck Tukes because we've all had hard-hitting comments tonight.
Well, that leads us seamlessly into the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
The Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
And we're going to move away from the talk about the attendance issues, get back to the game that was on the ice for tonight's Tough Duck winner. Ezzy, who's winning the Tough Duck 2, courtesy of our friends at Tough Duck?
We're going to give it to Sludge Factory 23. Great name. I still think that second line is going to be dynamite once it gets going. Ehlers' speed, Perfetti's vision, and a rotating power forward. Yes, please. We talked about it earlier in the postgame show. That's arguably been the Jets' best line over the last couple games. It's hard to believe that after 6 games, Ehlers doesn't have a goal yet, but he's going to score one. Obviously, the pass from Perfetti to David Gustafsson, we gave it the Seagram's shot of the game. So love that comment from Sludge Factory 23. Send me an email, ezra@illegalcurve.com with your mailing address info, or slide into my DMs on X, formerly Twitter, @ICSEG. with your mailing info. And there we go. Sludge Factory is still here. So yeah, send me an email, Sludge, and we will hook you up with Tough Duck. Will ship that toque out to you directly wherever you live, whether it's Winnipeg, Manitoba, or anywhere else in the world.
Well,
no, we only ship in North America. So
I will say,
Sludge Factory, if you're in Australia, I don't know if we're going to be able to get you that toque.
Although we did ship to John Chan, who's in Singapore.
Yes.
When he won the contest last year,
and it cost $311.
Yeah, it was a little bit expensive, but I will say, what was the story, Ezzy, with you? Remember when you had to ship something? Cost you what was that story? Remember?
I do remember, because when we had the IC, the first couple years of the Jets, we had the fitted IC. What was it?
Yeah, 5950.
5950.
Yeah, 5950.
I still have mine.
We sent one to Brian Grebe in California. In San Francisco. And I don't know, I guess I didn't really know how to ship things back then. And then I shipped it from my previous place of employment. I'm not going to mention them.
Previous is the operative word there, folks.
Yeah, not Hockey Manitoba, not my current employer, but my previous employer. and then they got a bill, and it was something like they're like, "What did you ship for $48 to San Francisco?" And I was like, "Oh, it was
a human kidney."
I used to work for a real estate company, so I was like, yeah, it was like some important real estate documents for that big. It was that Penske file that we were closing that big real estate deal. So it was worth it though, because Brian and Connor and the entire family.
Yeah,
I mean, it was worth it to send them that icy hat.
There you
go.
Well,
anyways, sorry for that segue, but I just wanted to say I did get an email from one of the recent Tough Duck winners, and I will say it was thank you for getting my toque back. So he had previously won, I think, a Tough Duck toque, and then he lost said Tough Duck toque or something. I think he moved to Saskatchewan. But all I know is I got a very nice long email. I will not name names from him and he was very thankful for receiving a new Tough Duck toque.
Well, the Tough Duck Dukes are gold now. It's snowing outside. I mean, you need to have a good quality toque.
It is getting cold though. If it's not snowing yet, it's going to getting cold certainly. And Tough Duck is coming
some
through
flakes, Drew.
In the clutch.
I'm not John Sauter, but
I was dandruff, Ezzy.
Those Tough Duck hardest hitting comments. Big thanks.
Oh, hold on, we got some controversy.
Uh-oh.
Positive Mall saying he's waiting for a toque from the ICOT winner in 2012. Mikhail Bodker.
Dave, you got to check the records.
I will check the records. Although I will say I have
records go back to 2012.
I have the records of who would have won, but I would not have a confirmation because the problem was so many of those. I mean, I sent a lot of toques out. Those were not the original IC toques, but those were the ones. Those were a CompuStitch one that we had from a reader of ours or follower of ours, I should say, and pretty nice actually. I think I've still got a few kicking around.
This is like when Jerry doesn't return the book and Michael Bookman comes to the apartment.
Well, according to Drew, there's no library. There's no late fees anymore. So you can return that Tropic of Cancer from 1974.
It was the people in the chat who told me that there were no more. There's no more library overdue fees. It's not me. There's no more overdue fees.
I'm really excited to check out that Bill and Helen Norrie library. It's really a nice modern design by Panama.
Well, this show's off the rails.
I was going to say, hey, you haven't been there before?
No, it's
been open for like 2 years.
But why would he be at the library?
He's got young kids.
I take the kids
I'm at the library
playground
every week.
That playground, by the way, is by that library is fantastic. My kids love it.
Yeah,
Kenny's got a good
library. They could, you might be able to get them a book.
I have to get my kids library cards first, Drew. You can't take out books without library cards.
You can do that at the library.
I'm with Spency on this one. Just kidding. I'm not.
Books are for losers. All righty, that's it. We're done for tonight. We'll be back Thursday
jealous.
night.
No. I don't want to make you jealous.
Yeah,
I saw Spency today at lunch.
Oh boy.
I went with a coworker today at lunch to the Underground Square. What is it called now? Winnipeg Square.
Yeah,
the Underground Mall.
It's always been called
Winnipeg
Square
for like
whatever the mall
years.
is called. Yeah. I saw Spency, and I didn't give him a hug because I've been sick lately. But I didn't want to make you too jealous, Drew, because I know that you also have a little bit of a communique friendship with Spency. But yes, Spency and I did run into each other today. No big deal.
No big deal indeed. Sounds like a lovely lunch date was had between the two of you, Harry.
We are going to go for lunch. Sandwiches and soup. We're doing it up.
You guys should do that. Big thanks to everybody who joined us this evening on the Illegal Curve postgame show. We'll be back again on Thursday following the Jets and the Red Wings to do it all over again. The shenanigans never stop. Big thanks to the sponsors: Betway, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, the Rink Guys, and our friends at Rolly's Transfer. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey.
Smash that like button.
Yes, if you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe.
Please
to
leave
the
a comment
channel.
too.
Leave some comments on YouTube.
Sludge Factory, if you haven't smashed that like button, do it right now.
Leave some comments on iTunes. Leave some comments wherever you get your podcasts. We always want to hear what you think of this show, particularly the nonsense when it goes well off the rails, like it frequently does. We'll be back Thursday night, 8:30, give or take, 8:30, 8:45, somewhere around there. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. This has been the Illegal Curve post-game show.